Well, the case for green infrastructure has changed significantly over for me, about 15 years now. What has, I think, happened is that the idea that was first arrived on this side of the Atlantic Ocean, I think from the United States, which was very much focused on nature-based ideas around smart conservation, is now turning into something that is very much more integrated and hybrid in nature. Interventions, I think, is a key word. Producing plans that are deliverable. Plans for green infrastructure are necessary. It brings democratic oversight, and it also provides the opportunity to develop the evidence base, and there is now lots of evidence. But actually, if you can't turn that into deliverables, it has little value. So deliverables, interventions, and action plans, that's really what it's all about. We live in an interesting era. Austerity has been around now since 2008. Public finance is under pressure like at no time since 1945, and we can no longer rely entirely on the public sector. Effectively, I think funding has to come from all of the recognised sectors of civil society, whether that be local government, central government, of course, but also the private sector, and also direct citizen contributions through new initiatives such as crowdfunding and through the money that's made available through donations to NGOs, for example. They all have key roles to play, and I suspect the role of the private sector and of NGOs is going to be a major feature over the next 10 years. The economic sense of green infrastructure is really based on whole life costing. By and large, the costs of entry into a green infrastructure approach to nature, or using nature-based solutions to achieve green infrastructure, gives you the opportunity to have a relatively low entry costs, but probably over a longer period of time. But if you consider it over the whole life of the project, then the benefits do tend to come down on nature's side rather than on, if you like, what is the grey engineered solution, which is very much presented as the alternative. Well, I think that the language is not necessarily as friendly as it can be for the ordinary citizen. I think we can use professionally green infrastructure, but we need to use language for communities that they understand. And that probably means using words like open space and nature and words that people are already familiar with. If there are professions that need to be engaged more, it is those that have a more silo approach. Because I think the essence of delivery is through interdisciplinary working between different types of professions. And only by doing that, I think we will ever kind of nail it. It's hard to be precise, but I think those that have enjoyed large budgets in the past, for instance, transport planners, transport engineers, are one particular group that are maybe slightly less engaged than some others, but there are exceptions to that rule. There are some limitations, and one of the major limitations to get over is the fact, as is sometimes said, we've always done it this way. Why should we change our behaviour now? So there needs to be some quite big changes, but optimistically I would say that I would think we would look back in 20 years' time on our current practice in the way that we look back on, for example, the inefficiency of a motor car 20 years ago. We would be amazed by the improvement. And I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist that there needs to be a change of business as normal if we're to get there.